Welcome back to On the Record. We're here at the Microsoft WPC, or Worldwide Partner Conference, and I'm here with Kirk Smallwood, who is the VP of Strategic Alliances for ComTIA. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, sir. Always good to see you.
Absolutely. So you have a little event coming up here for Breakaway.
We do. We have Breakaway coming up at the Aria Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, July 30th through August 2nd, and we're really excited about it. Looking for another great event. Looking forward to having you there again.
I'm looking forward to it. I love that show. It's now nothing against Microsoft. It's a good show, but I think Breakaway, I have to admit, has probably become my favorite show.
Well, that's great to hear. I hope there's a lot of other folks that say that too. But it is the premier training and educational event for the IT channel, and we're going to have lots of opportunity to network. Lots of great training courses. Our whole channel catalog is really going to be on show in terms of live workshops, and people can actually walk out of there with an executive certificate around these different areas, around healthcare IT or cloud or managed services, and all the great subjects that we have in terms of training and education there.
Yeah. It's interesting. As I was setting up meetings for this show, like Microsoft show, how many people came back to me and said, "Can I set up a time to be interviewed with you at Breakaway?" And I've even turned to some of the people and said, "What makes you think I'm going to come back there?" And the answer was, "Well, you've been there so many years. We know you're going to be there, and you're going to be doing it."
You're a fixture there, but that's good to hear. That's a good indication that we'll have a good show. We're expecting probably about 1,100 to 1,200 attendees. About 40% of those will be solution providers. We'll have at least 120, 130 vendors at the Technology Vendor Showcase exhibiting their wares. So we're expecting a great event. And the Aria is a fantastic venue if you haven't been there before.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing, and we have a fantastic rate of only $139 there. Fantastic rate for that hotel.
Yeah, but you have to tell people that they have to learn how to use all the electronics. So, even if they are techies,
right.
The first time you're in there, it's like, I remember trying to open the window. I wanted to look outside.
Yeah.
And I walked around and around and around the room until I finally realized, you have to use an electronic controller.
Yeah, well, it's funny, and you and I have talked about this on conference calls, where just because we're in tech, it doesn't mean we know how to use it. So, kind of funny.
Yeah. So, you've got 1,100 to 1,200 people showing up. 4 years ago, before you and Todd and so on came in and changed over things, everybody pretty much got in for free, and at that time they still never got up to 1,100 or 1,200. You're now charging just about everybody, except maybe your mother, and yet you're going up every time. What are you doing that's behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes, but what are you doing that makes people want to come out and actually they don't mind paying to come?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you're right. We did used to have a hosted model, and I think there are a lot of industry groups out there that still do that, events that do that. We really figured out. We took a hard look and realized, as a not-for-profit trade association, we really shouldn't be doing that at all. We should never have really been doing it from the beginning. And so we made the conscious decision to eliminate that. And we were also hearing that the event was getting a little stale. It was kind of the same people over and over again, which that's great, whatever. But we want to bring in new blood. We want to bring in new people. You want to come to the show every year expecting to see some new folks there. And so by becoming a non-hosted model, we really had to focus on the content. We had to make sure that people were going to be willing to pay to come out. And, frankly, as a ComTIA member, you get free registration, but we all know that you got to pay airfare, you got to pay a hotel, etc. So we had to make sure the content was really good. And we understood that even if we weren't getting as many folks there, we were going to get the right folks, the people that were really willing to come out, the people that were going to network and engage with the show. And so that was more important to us than having a larger event where people really weren't as engaged. And so, again, we really focused on the content, and so much of that is around our channel training catalog. We had so many of our members approach us and say, there's no one really out there that's providing kind of that foundational, fundamental training around these different vertical markets or around just simply how to run your business more effectively. And ComTIA is really in a position where they can put that education together. And we said, that makes a lot of sense, and we should do that because we're in a position as a not-for-profit vendor-neutral organization. We can bring in subject matter experts from around the industry, even competitors, sit them at the table and talk about, what's the type of education that we need to create, and can you help us create it? We don't create anything in a vacuum. We rely on the industry to help us create these materials. So I think the education is extremely strong, and that's brought people to the event, and along with the fabulous networking and just the focus on membership. I think maybe although ComTIA did some fantastic stuff, I mean, we wouldn't be here without A+. I wouldn't be talking to you without our great certifications and things like that. But we weren't necessarily, I don't think, utilizing the certification revenue in the best means we could in terms of really making it a very member-centric organization, by the members, for the members. So everything we do now is for the members. It's about them getting together, networking, learning, and then helping us shape the future of the industry by telling us what's needed out there, and that's how we create our stuff.
So you talk about your membership. How big is the membership now, and how is that broken down between vendors and distributors, or however you can break it down?
Yeah, we have about 2,100 members now. I mean, it changes monthly. The biggest chunk of that,
Always
obviously,
going up, obviously.
Pretty much going up. Yeah, we're happy about that. We're very lucky. But the biggest chunk of that certainly is the small to medium-sized solution providers. I'd say about 1,600 of those 2,100 are solution providers. The rest are broken down into vendors and distributors mostly, and then also what we call channel associates, which are folks that may be coaches, consultants, other companies that provide services to the channel but aren't necessarily IT focused. Those could be like IT staffing companies, things like that. But far and away the biggest chunk is small to medium-sized businesses.
And the 130 booths, now that's a lot of booths. But you've changed the pricing.
Well, the great thing, again, one of our themes is to really utilize the certification revenue. We're very fortunate to have a great stream of certification revenue coming in. That's kind of the certification side of the house. But we take all those revenues to help provide as much resources as possible, and allow us to take as little money out of the channel as possible. In other words, we keep our membership dues extremely low. A solution provider can join for $250 for a year. That's their whole company. That's not an individual. That's not per individual within a company. And that gives them access to everything. One of the great benefits of being a vendor or distributor member is, included in that, is their booth at Breakaway. We made a decision to not charge extra for a booth there. We said, hey, let's include that in your membership. Let's make that another member benefit, just to make the argument for becoming a member, as overwhelming as possible.
So that's for the vendors.
That's for the vendors and distributors, right, in terms of the booth.
And how much does a vendor have to pay?
A vendor,
it's a sliding scale?
It is a sliding scale. A vendor can pay, if they're, say, like what we call an emerging vendor, they can pay as little as $625 for the whole year. And then the most anyone would pay, Microsoft, HP, no matter how big, the most they would pay is $5,000. And that's a global membership. That includes everyone in Microsoft throughout the world. They could access their benefits for $5,000 one time.
So since you're talking about everything around the world, ComTIA typically when you came in there was a U.S. thing. We opened it up in Canada. It never really took off too much, but it was doing that. Right. I know now you're doing a lot of stuff in the UK. You're doing stuff in where else?
Well, Brazil is really a target for us as well. We haven't really established a whole lot there, but what we're looking to do is take our training and education and then localize it in these different areas. But the certifications really are what has the biggest focus right now in the different worldwide areas. But as you said, the UK channel has really grown by leaps and bounds. We have a great community over there. It's been growing tremendously, and as I mentioned, we've localized some of our research and education for those folks specifically there. So we're looking to not roll this out systematically. In other words, create education, region by region as we go out, localize it, figure out what's important to them, and then create that education. So it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time, but we have a plan in terms of rolling that out. And again, Brazil is a market that we're targeting with that as well.
It's interesting. So, I'll say it because you can't, but it's a whole new. It's basically ComTIA. You have your certification and stuff like that, and you still have the Breakaway, but the Breakaway's changed a lot because it's much more open. But the whole company has really changed in direction, don't you think, since over the last 4 years?
I can just only go by what I hear from folks like you and others that are out there, but that is what we hear. I think so much of what our focus was on before was the certification, and which is great. I mean, it brings in revenues, it allows us to do other things, but I think perhaps maybe we didn't focus as much on being a member-centric organization as much as we should have. Really focusing on the needs of the members, creating communities that allow them to get together and talk about the challenges that they're facing in our 13 plus member communities like cloud and healthcare IT, managed services, etc. And I think we just realized that we need to make more people aware of the fact that we do all this other great stuff. Most people, you ask somebody, what does ComTIA do? Oh, you guys do certifications and you do training and all this stuff. But most people don't know about all the other stuff that we do. And I think we, frankly, had a hard time kind of messaging that out. We do so much different stuff. It's like, how do we really message that? And so we developed an acronym called ECAP, which really kind of sums up the 4 pillars of ComTIA. The E stands for educating the IT channel. The C stands for certifying the IT workforce. The A is advocacy. So we have an office, many people don't know this, on Capitol Hill and within the U.S. Every day we're fighting for the rights of small business issues, IT workforce issues, new technologies, cybersecurity, what have you. And this is stuff that we do all the time, whether you know it or not, and for our members, for the industry. And then the final, the P, is our philanthropic efforts. We have a great foundation called Creating IT Futures that is designed to provide free IT training to people in need, and those could be folks like returning military veterans or at-risk youth or the disabled. And it's designed to get them a career in IT, which is sorely needed. We have over 470,000 available IT jobs right now, which is incredible. I mean, we always talk about how 470,000 available IT jobs out there. And, President Obama's always talking about we need more jobs. Well, we've got tons of jobs in our industry. We just don't have enough qualified people to take them. So we really want to be a catalyst for getting those folks that need jobs in IT positions. It's a great career. It pays more than most other industries. And we need folks there. And if we can help get these guys, what's that old saying? Like, you teach a guy to fish, you can, he's got a life.
Give a guy a fish and you feed him for a day.
Yeah.
Teach him how to fish and you feed him for life.
That's totally.